trouble.
Real stories, real recovery advice kind of thing.
People pronounce how to dress are important in their identity. And I don't see this.
Even in this side of recovery, you get to real stories, real recovery. I am Kat, and I'm on the road of recovery.
My name is Michael Hester. I am from Xenia, Ohio, and I have just under 5 years in recovery. There's really not much about growing up. My childhood, I grew up in South Haven, Mississippi. Lived in Mississippi, Memphis, Tennessee, and West Memphis, Arkansas.
Okay.
So just kind of the tri-state area down there. Had good family, good upbringing. My dad was a youth minister and a song leader at church. My dad got diagnosed with cancer when I was 12. My dad passed away. But then after high school, I went straight into the Army. And I went through 2 deployments.
Where'd you deploy to?
I was in Iraq for 15 and a half months,
Oh.
and then Afghanistan for 13.
Oh my. Action?
Yes. Yeah.
What did
I
you,
was a combat medic. So
oh my. Okay.
I joined. My recruiter told me that if I joined as a medic, I would be in a hospital surrounded by girls. So it wasn't like this valorous thing that I was. I mean, I always knew the Army was for me, right? That's what I was going to do. I signed up when I was 17. But that's what I was told would be the case. Turns out if you're a guy, you're in shape, you're going to be attached to an infantry unit. So that's
Wow.
where I ended up.
Okay.
So I did 6 years active.
2 deployments.
Yeah, I signed up at 17, had to finish high school, so I was in a delayed entry program, then went to almost a year and a half deployment because that was back when they were doing that. Now they've kind of made it 6 to 9 months.
Yeah.
Before you go, there's all this training on how to be heightened, how to heighten your senses, how to be aware of your surroundings, how to look for this, that, and the other. A dead dog on the side of the road is a perfect place to hide an IED, a bomb on the side of the road. The guardrails down the interstate is a perfect place to put them in. They would even at night cut out chunks of concrete on the curb, put in explosives, and then concrete it back over. So by the next day, so you're looking for brand new concrete. You're looking for cars that are sagging lower than they should. You're looking for dead animals on the side of the road. You're looking for, so then you come back and you are now expected to just drive on the right side of the road when the whole road used to be yours. You're expected to drive by guardrails. Like it just, like when I was on the interstate, when I first got back, I would stay in the middle. I would straddle the dotted white lines because I'm terrified to be close to the edges.
Right.
And that's, again, it's just my trauma, right? Like, so to me, that was enough to continue and to fuel my drinking. And not only that, but like I said, it wasn't frowned upon to drink at work as long as I can do my job. And not only that, the people that knew I was drinking at work almost lauded me as a hero because of how much I could drink and still do my job. Right. So now it's this ego that I have to keep up. It's a cycle that is just miserable. At the time, it was fine. At the time, I enjoyed the popularity that it gave me. I enjoyed all of that. But it ended, I mean, we all know the end of the story. It ends up alone and miserable. Right. So after that second deployment, I get home and I go to the VA. They give pain medicine. They give Adderall. They give benzos. They give it was perfect, right? So then they try to decrease benzos, and I give them some sort of story to increase those. They didn't want to give Adderall and benzos at the same time, so I tell a story that I play this balancing act where I can stay on the max dose of all of it until they asked me politely not to go back to the VA. They couldn't treat me anymore, and I get it, but yeah. So
Did they say at any point in time, hey, maybe you have a substance use disorder?
that's a crazy thing. So in the Army, after each deployment, you go back and you have this 15-day period where you're supposed to be in quarantine, for lack of a better term, and they go through all these testing to see if you're safe to be back in society, right? So we go through these little stations, immunizations, medical, vision, psych, and I went after my second deployment. I told you I was suicidal. Like, I answered honestly, like honestly. How much are you drinking a day? About 36 beers a night. Do you think you have a problem? Yes. Have you ever had a drink? The cage questions. Have you ever had a drink to steady your nerves in the morning? Has anybody told you you have a drinking problem? So I answered honestly. Do you feel suicidal? Yes, I do. Do you have a plan? Yeah. Okay. Stamp. Next station. Like, so was I being honest? 100%. Was it also just a test to see if they cared? 100%. They didn't care. But yeah, so there was no real honesty from that point where I told that assessor until it kind of fell all apart. I was gonna go to thinking about med school, thinking about PA school, but I got out of the Army and was broke, and nursing was the easiest way to use what I knew and start making decent money fast. So in a couple of years of nursing school, and then I was off that through that. I never stopped drinking, still was abusing stimulants, pain pills when I could find them. I got married at that time. I think the prescription stimulants that I would have used was okay, right? In the confines of that. She would use them with me. I would, so that never seemed to be a problem. Drinking consistently. There were fights and stuff where she'd pour out all of my liquor and kind of switch to, hey, we're only going to drink a bottle of wine a night. And I would buy boxes because there's 3.5 bottles in a box, right? So there was no really judging how much I was drinking. Just stupid things like that. That marriage fell apart. I think it was just inevitable where I can't speak to her. She's a phenomenal lady. But that was inevitable with someone like me. I don't put all the blame on me. I try not to put blame on her. Like, it's a relationship. It's a two-way street. But I think it was inevitable with someone like me. I was in nursing. I went to the ER and did trauma in the ER. Right? That's what I knew. That's what I was good at. I excelled at every ER that I went to. I bounced around. I wouldn't stay at a hospital for longer than 12 months because of my activities. I didn't want them catching on to me, and I would move to the next hospital. And that's how I kind of skirted that. So that happened. Life fell apart, moved to Ohio. I thought that I could move away, get a new start, and just run away from geographical here.
Right.
So I got a job at a hospital here in Ohio and stayed for about 14 months, and it caught up with me. So
2 months too long.
yeah. So and I had such resentment towards the person that told on me, that turned me in. That through step work, that came out hard and heavy. I hated that guy. And he saved my life. Like, I can't, yeah, I've not seen him since. If I ever did, I'd give him a big hug, but he saved my life. But they said, can you pee in a cup? I said, absolutely not. And this is when the honesty took over, because I was done. I was over it. I said, well, because I would piss dirty. I was like, I would fail. They were like, well, we're going to need you to pee in a cup anyways. I'm like, I'm just telling you that I'd fail. I don't know why you need me to. Well, they said, well, tell us a little more about it. So I told them a little more about it. Get taken down to HR. tell them I'm not being it. I don't know why I didn't. Like, I don't know why I wouldn't be in a cunt, but I didn't. And they were okay with it because of how there's no way I would have told them the stuff I told them if I wasn't 100% honest. So they believed everything I said because no one would have said that unless it was true.
Nobody's making this up.
Right. So they said, okay. This is very blurry to me. That was the last day I used opiates. So that was July 3rd, 2019. That was the last day I used any illicit substances. The last day I used, besides alcohol, the last day I used any mind mood altering substance. So it's all foggy from there. It was rough. It was rough. It was a day or two that the nursing board had an investigator meet me at some library. I don't even know where we were. Like it was just a fog.
Did you tell your family yet?
I told my brother, I told my sister because I lived with her, and I think I told my mom the gist of it, that I had lost my nursing license, I had lost my job, and pretty much just stay tuned. Like, so the investigator, and I use that term loosely because she really didn't have to do any investigating. The honesty, there was a dam that broke and there was no going back, right? And all of this is God doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. All this, and I don't care, higher power, God, whatever you want to call it, I know what it is, right? And that was do it, whether it was get me through war zones while drunk, whether it was not overdosing when I tried to. There were many times where I tried to take enough to where I wouldn't wake up for work the next day. And lo and behold, I woke up, I'd look at my phone, and I'd be like, well, I guess I'm going to work. And like, I know I skipped over that, but that's a huge part of it, right? Like, you feel so bad that maybe if I just take double what I normally take, maybe if I take triple what I mean, there were times where I don't know how graphic we can get on this, but I'd fill a 10cc syringe up and just do every single bit of it. And that's enough to kill a horse. And I'd wake up for work. Like, I'm not talking, insulin needles. I'm talking a 10cc syringe from the hospital.
Right.
Just straight in, and then next thing I know, I'm waking up to my alarm because, again, I didn't want to kill myself. I wasn't. If it happened, it happened, and that's a good way to do it. That's horrible logic because that's a suicide attempt. Like, that's a suicide attempt.
Yeah.
So anybody you can justify and say that I've got no suicide attempts because I haven't been hospitalized for psych. I haven't been. Again, you can find differences, but that is a suicide attempt. But I not in my mind, it wasn't because I set my alarm for work, right? Like, so I wasn't planning on dying, but I'd wake up for work.
So let's talk a bit about from a recovery perspective. So, through these trials and tribulations, if you can really break down how you built your recovery from addiction.
So initially was I went to my drug and alcohol counselor multiple times a week, and then the nursing board came back and said, even though they gave me his name, he was not an approved treatment for whatever. They wanted me to go through an actual place. So I went through another agency here in town, and by that point, I was already sober a few months, and going to meetings and plugged into the community. And so they were like, okay, just do aftercare. So I went to the aftercare meeting there. And I mean, thing I'll say about that is I came with a notepad and a pen to take notes like it was schooling, right? I came with the drive because when I got sober, it was, I'll try sobriety. If it doesn't work, I can always kill myself. I can always go back to killing myself. Like, that's never going to not be an option.
Right.
So what's it going to hurt?
Right.
So, with that in mind, I didn't want to kill myself. So But if I failed, that was my plan. That's just how miserable I was. So I went to those, and I'll say this, but I don't mean it. Those dumb groups, right? That if you want them to be dumb, they're gonna be dumb. If you want to get something that can save your life, you can find something that helps you latch onto life for one more day.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like so, you can come in and think you're the coolest cat on the block, but you're not gonna learn anything if you think you're too cool for it. And that, in my opinion, right? But that's my experience. Is I went like it was my job, and that's what it was. That was my job. I was there to get sober. I was going to learn how to do it. I was taking notes on how to do it. I don't know if notes help you stay sober, but I think the drive and the willingness to take notes is some sort of a surrender in there that is necessary, right? I don't think I don't know where those notes are. I don't even know what they said. But I think the surrender of this is life or death for me, that's the key. That you have to be willing to do that stuff. Come in like a nerd with your notebook and your pen and put in the work.
Absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the head, that willingness of being able to show up, being there, learning, and wanting to. Like
Yep.
That's super cool. So with the meetings, being able to develop a support system, working the steps, how did you start trusting somebody? Like how did that get shed away?
So I started going to meetings, and that's what I kind of latched onto. And I would sneak in as they were starting, and I would leave right when they ended. And I bought a big book, and I was trying to go through the steps for myself, and just trying to make amends here and there before I did any of the other steps. Life got better, right? I will say that, because you take away drugs and alcohol and you're not as much of an ass anymore, right? Like you take away drugs and alcohol, life gets better. Like you don't get in trouble. You don't take advantage of people in the ways that we used to. Still have that addict and alcoholic mind where you're trying to scheme things to your advantage, right? That doesn't stop just because you stop drinking alcohol. But life got better for a minute. And then I got to a point where I was sliding back down into that lonely, depressive state. And looking around at people mad that they were happy in these rooms and leaving early again. Like I just come in late, leave early. Just miserable. And I couldn't figure out why, because I was doing the sobriety thing. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't using drugs, and I was so mad. There was a point at about 10 months in that I was laying on the floor of my room in my sister's house, just bawling, boo-hooing, because this couldn't be it. This is sobriety. Like, if this is what life is gonna be, like, I don't want it. Gun in my mouth, trying to pray for the courage to kill myself. And couldn't do it. But gosh, I tell you that feeling, that feeling of being on the floor in that room sober may have been my rock bottom, right? Like it may have been my rock bottom without drugs and alcohol. Drugs and alcohol are just a piece of it. It's something more. It's a spiritual bankruptcy, an emotional bankruptcy. It's not knowing how to cope with life without that piece of the puzzle. So that might have been my rock bottom, but I can remember it clearly. Next day at a meeting, guy comes up to me and introduces himself, and I was almost offended that I've been around for 10 months. You don't know who I am. Like I know you. I've seen you at these meetings. I'm Michael. You should know that. Like, that's really what went through my head. And
you also have a bit of an ego.
Yeah. And he was like, well, if you don't have a sponsor, you're around the 12-step program, you're not in the 12-step program.
Right.
If you're not going through the steps with somebody who has also been through the steps where you are, you're around the program, not in it. And something clicked with how he delivered it.
Yeah.
That I called him the next day and still had an ego. I didn't want to ask him to be my sponsor. I said, "Can we talk?" He knew what that meant. He brought a contract and everything.
Yeah.
So then it was over from there. There's so many pieces that helped me get to sobriety. That's the piece that got me to recovery. Because recovery is rebuilding. I wasn't rebuilding anything by mistake. So I was not rebuilding anything. So there are plenty of ways that kind of pushed me to sobriety. The 12-step program is what launched me into recovery. But my goals now is to enjoy life with my family, my wife, and travel. Like we want to travel. Like it's crazy to me because even making the good money that I made in the ER, I got sued by every major credit card company because of the way I was living. And now, like I have money to save, and that's what we want to do is travel. Like we should.
Do you guys have a bucket list? Couple places that are at the top of the list?
So we're going to Jamaica in October.
Very cool.
And then next year we're planning kind of a train trip around Europe. So
Awesome.
we're saving for that.
Yes. We will talk afterwards. I just got back from 3 weeks in Europe. So.
Oh, nice. Something that I heard from Ali that really kind of sets that into perspective. And kind of the theme of the last part of this talk was we don't get to decide if it's good or bad. Good things may end up being bad. So there's this guy who lives in this, we'll call it China, on this little property in China. And there's an emperor who owns all the land. He lives on this farm that he rents out. I'm trying to tell the abridged version, but he rents it out or rents it from the emperor. And all he has in his possession is this horse. So he's got a horse and that's it. So one day the horse runs away. Family comes to this guy's little farm and they go, "Oh, this is the worst thing that could happen. This is awful. How are you going to live without this horse?" And he said, "Well, maybe it is and maybe it isn't. I don't know." So a few weeks pass. The horse comes back with 20 other horses and it runs right into the pen and everybody comes, "Oh, you're the richest man ever. This is the best thing ever. This is so incredible." And he says, "Well, maybe it is. Maybe it isn't." And then his son is breaking one of the horses and trying to tame him and gets bucked off and paralyzed from the waist down. And everybody's like, "Oh, this is the worst thing that could ever happen. How are you going to live if your son can't help him work and blah, blah, blah." Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. Well, then the army comes around and has taken all able-bodied young men to go to war, and his son can't go. So everybody's like, "Oh, this is great. He doesn't have to go to war, blah, blah, blah." And then they all go off to war, and 90% of them die. Like, so it just,
Right.
life happens. This too shall pass. Like something else is going to come down the road and put this into perspective. So
Yes. I love it. And I think that's the thing with cliches that work so well in so many areas. That's the like little thing that brings the bell, and then being able to have the conversation afterwards.
Yep.
is what
if you're just going into a room and somebody's just spewing off cliches, that's a good way to get somebody to run from a program fast, right? It's that conversation afterwards. A lot of times a new person isn't going to be willing to have that conversation, but if you can speak intelligently about that cliche you just said and relate it to something that they can relate to, that's where that power of connection comes. So,
on that note, I should say thank you. This has been beautiful. I really appreciate you taking the time. You really have so
it's
thank
fun.
you so much. And inspiring for all the nurses out there that are dealing with the nursing board or whatever board they're dealing with, that you do the work, you do the footwork. It's amazing what you have.
Honesty is the best policy, no matter the outcome. Honesty is the best policy because it frees you and gives you a freedom that you couldn't have otherwise. If you lie and get less punishment, you always have that you're living with. So,
thank you so much.